Today I'm going to talk about whether these insoles can make your casual shoes feel like these. 6.73 miles, 9 minutes, 9 seconds per mile, 139 beats per minute today, getting in whatever miles that I can in 20-degree Fahrenheit air temps, about -6 degrees Celsius, literally and figuratively running around town because my wife's out of town and I have to juggle work and second grade field trips and all the other family and work obligations that I normally have to take care of. And it was a perfect week to be testing out the Upmatic Cloud Lite insoles by Rebounce. Now, before I get into my detailed thoughts about that particular insole, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a set of insoles that was purchased with my own money. No one sent them to me. No one's paying me to use the insoles or make this video. No one's going to get a chance to preview any of the footage until you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. Now, the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about these insoles. They definitely want you to think that these are Boost insoles, and I'm not necessarily sure that I'd call them that. On the packaging and all the marketing, they do want to highlight the fact that it's made by BASF, the same company that makes Boost, and lots of things that aren't even shoe related. They make tons of things. But that's the impression they want you to get, at least from the Instagram targeted ads that I got. And as an aside, I am a sucker for Instagram targeted ads. I love them. If I see it in my Instagram feed, I want to buy it. I don't know why that is. It's a character flaw. It's just, I'm just impulsive in that way. I was the same way with commercials and infomercials for products that were as seen on TV. If it had the as seen on TV logo on the box in a store, or if I've seen it on TV, I wanted to order it. The only thing that ever stopped me from ordering stuff on as seen on TV is that it always takes like forever, and you're paying like twice the amount of the product costs in shipping. And so that was always a turnoff. But Instagram targeted ads, they work on me almost every single time. And that's how I initially came across these. But I was thinking that I would use them for the Timberland shoes that I recently purchased. I love those, love the look of them. They're very comfortable as is, but they don't have an insole inside. And it looks like the upper is just sewn directly onto the midsole and you're standing right on that. You could see the seams that connects the two parts. And so I thought, you know what? I like this shoe. It's comfortable enough, but what if I could make it more comfortable with an insole in there? And so I thought I'd get these. And the first thing that I'll know is you buy them in like 3 sizes, like small, medium, and large. And then you have to cut them. You have to cut them with scissors yourself to the size of your own shoe. And now they have like an outline of where you cut it depending on which size you are. So it makes it easy, but it just doesn't make it feel like a nice product. Doesn't feel like something that I want to put into like $150 shoes that I just bought. And so it's kind of like a flea market feel to it. But that aside, I was able to cut them fine, even though I'm really bad at things kind of like in real world stuff. But I was able to do it and get them in there. Walking around in the Timberlands, I spent like a day trying to make that work, try to make it, see if I could make it work. And they felt great underfoot. But it took up so much volume in the shoe that my toes felt like they were cramped and jammed up against the front and the top of the shoe, and that was really uncomfortable. I thought that maybe if I lived like that for like the entire day and walked around a lot in them, that would start to loosen them up. I didn't think that they would be completely loosened up by the end of one day, but I thought maybe at least I would have the hint that like it could change. I didn't really get that. Instead, by the end of the day, I found myself taking off shoes anytime I sat down, just so that I could give my toes a little bit of break from the pressure. So I thought maybe that wasn't the right fit. And I thought maybe, you know what, that's the problem with insoles, is that you have to buy a different size shoe to make insoles work. And I just don't want to have to like think, okay, I don't want to make the decision ahead of time. Is this a shoe that I want to put an insole in? Is it not? That will dictate what size shoe I get. I just don't think that that makes a lot of sense to me. So I was ready to kind of like toss these. But then I was like, there's another pair of shoes that I do wear all the time. I do walk quite a bit in them. And in my highest mileage weeks of marathon training, those are the shoes that I tend to feel the most discomfort from. Not any running shoe, not any particular workout. It's walking around after a hard workout in my dress shoes that gives me a hard time. And so specifically, it's these dress boots that I have. They're Haan dress boots. I keep a suit at work because of run commuting. And so I decided I would try to put these in those dress shoes. And I initially just slid them right in and walked around the office for a little bit, and they felt good, but they didn't feel great. And I had the same like pressure in the toe box. There just wasn't enough room in the shoe to add an insole. And so I decided, okay, well, I'm going to take the insole that is in that shoe out. Now that shoe happens to be a Haan shoe from back when Nike still owned Haan. And it's actually a Nike Air dress shoe. And so the way that Nike does that kind of thing with dress shoes or casual shoes a lot of time is either with an insole that looks like this. I had a pair of Chuck Taylors that were Flyknit it that had a Lunarlon insole, and the Lunarlon was just an insole made out of Lunarlon. But on that one, the Nike Air of it was just something in the heel that was glued to the insole that was then glued to the midsole of the shoe. So I was a little hesitant because I definitely had to very permanently rip out the insole that was in there because everything was glued down really solid. And so I had to make like a point of no return commitment to it. But I thought I'd go for it because those shoes are kind of old anyway. If I figured if I ruined the shoe, it wouldn't be too bad because I'm due for an update. But I did that, got those insoles out of there, and then I put these in, and it just felt fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Around the heel area, the extra cushion here feels really nice along my heel, which is usually a tender spot in my highest mileage weeks of running. And in the forefoot, it felt nice. Now, it felt still like, because this was thicker than the insole that was in there, I still felt like I didn't have quite as much room in the toe box as I did before, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was still pleasant. And walking around on the shoe, while it didn't feel like I was walking around in Ultra Boost, it felt like this was pretty close in terms of making my dress shoes not feel like I was walking around in dress shoes. Now, does this mean that anytime I buy a dress shoe, I'm going to like size up or see if I can remove the insole before I buy it? Probably not. My general way that I like to look at insoles is it's a nice way of freshening up or like rescuing a shoe that isn't working or is getting a little bit old and needs like just an update before you're ready to completely replace it. I think that's like the perfect way for me to use these insoles. And so those insoles are going to go right back into those shoes. And for the rest of the life of those shoes anyway, I'll be walking around in the Upmatic Cloud Lite insole by Rebounce. So it works for me. I think it works. So if you have any questions about that insole or about insoles in general, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to talk to you guys about more down there. But before I go, I do want to remind you guys about the charity run for this week. This week, it's Melissa Sawyer, who is going to be running the Museum of Aviation Half Marathon and raising money for the Epilepsy Foundation. I was happy to donate to $70 to Melissa's fundraising efforts, and I'll post a link in the description in case you'd like to learn more. That's all I have to say for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?